Hello and welcome to another Dolphin Financial Radio Show. My name is Dan Wendell and I'm the owner of Dolphin Financial Group. In today's show, we're going to revisit Social Security. We talked about divorce and Social Security last week. So if you missed that show, watch that. But this show is going to be more specifically on Social Security in general. We're going to be talking about the changes that may need to happen and the changes that actually might happen to keep it afloat. And now that we have a new administration, Biden, during his campaign, had talked about some changes. Now that he's president, will they happen? We're going to talk about those. And when I say we, I mean Tony and I. Here he is. He's staring at me this whole time. And he's thinking, well, Dan, usually you introduce me. You don't bring me. People don't see when you're talking, but people already know. They're looking at you saying, who's this guy? This is Tony, my co-host. Tony, welcome. As you can see, Tony has a new soundboard. Good for you, buddy. Very popular. That's only in Japan that you're popular. Admit it.
Oh, Dan. I mean, I'm big in Japan. I think it's my Godzilla impression though that does it.
On the intro, which I'm going to be bringing. I think next week
right.
I'm going to release the intro with you as Godzilla.
Good. Yeah, that would be funny. All right. Well, yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Dan. It's great to be here. And sound effects. It's like the morning zoo. We will try not to abuse that feature though. But it's been a crazy week. I know you've had a crazy week with computer problems. People may notice you look a little different.
Yeah, I know. I've been struggling with computers all year, and now my computer just died. So this is my backup computer, my backup camera, my backup microphone. Mm-hmm. So
you've got the Logitech that attaches to the top from about 1998, right?
Yeah, actually, I think it's probably 2000. I think it's 2000. It might have passed the I think it's Y2K compliant though. There's a sticker on it that says Y2K compliant.
Well,
when this camera was made, there were problems with Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
And those problems have still not been solved 20 years later.
Yeah, go figure. Yes. Oh, but wait, Dan, there's a new administration. all those Social Security problems will be magically wiped away.
Well, we did a show early, I think it was early 2020. Mm-hmm. And it was about Social Security going bankrupt. And the bottom line from that show is we need changes. And there was a lot of changes talked about in that show. So you can watch that one. But the problem is that Social Security is going bankrupt. Social Security disability is going to go bankrupt first. Then Social Security is going bankrupt. And the latest from the Social Security admin is 2035. So we talked about that in the show prior. And that hasn't changed. In fact, Tony, here it is. Here's what has changed with Social Security. COVID.
It's a mystery to me.
COVID had a negative.
I'm going to try them all. There you go.
I love that one.
So COVID is impacting Social Security. I don't understand.
Well, exactly.
Because of employment.
Yes. So payroll. So Social Security. Sure. People put into it when they work. It comes out of your Social Security check, right out of your paycheck. It's 6.2% for most people, and then the company matches. Mm-hmm. So if the company's not paying you, you're not paying 6.2% to the government to go into Social Security, and the company's not matching because they're not paying you. So that's a negative impact not only in your wallet but on the Social Security coffers. So this idea of 2035 being the bankruptcy, the point where there's not enough money to actually pay out what's being collected, I think that's going to happen sooner. I think that, and I think it's going to happen much sooner. So what are we going to do about it? And we talked about it in the other show, so I want to focus specifically on what Biden says he's going to do about it.
Okay.
What he said he's going to do about it when he was campaigning.
Sure.
And one of the big things when he was campaigning about
those might be two different things, right? I mean, we know that with politics.
But that's the scary part. You never know what you're going to get, right? Like Pelosi said about the healthcare bill, you got to pass it first to find out what's in it. It's like, all right, we got to get him elected first and then figure out what he's going to do. It doesn't matter who the president is. It's the same story. But what's interesting is when Biden was running and was saying all this stuff, a lot of people were like, oh, yeah, like us, like you, like, yeah. You say one thing, but it's not going to happen. But what really is going to make this interesting is that now that there's a control of Congress and the presidency, now things could happen.
Yeah.
Things could actually happen. And I think Social Security is a bipartisan issue, meaning people know it's got to be fixed.
Right.
Now, the solution, not so much bipartisan, but
no,
I think we can get there. So let's talk about what Biden's plans to change it are. So before we even get into how he's going to pay for all this, let's talk about what he wants to do, because that's the fun part. Like, let's do this and this and this. Let's paint it this color. Let's buy new wheels. Like it's fun to dreams. But this is what he was talking about. He wanted to raise the minimum that people get in Social Security to 125% of poverty level, which is a step up, because some people don't get a lot in Social Security. Now they want 125% of poverty level for people that put into it. So that's an increase of benefits. All right. So now it's going to draw down even faster. He wants to increase it for older people. So what he said in the campaign was those that have been collecting for 20 years or more. So people that have typically are in their 80s right now. He wants to give a 5% increase for those people.
Interesting.
That's another drain on the system. And finally,
so far he's made proposals that'll increase the cost of Social Security.
But you know who likes that? You know who likes that 5% increase on older people?
Who?
Older people.
Right. right.
And here's another one, which
and ironically, both of those would apply to him. Of course, he doesn't collect Social Security as a government employee, probably. But
I don't know. They probably
he's old
do.
enough. He's old enough, probably, to the 20 years.
But this one he doesn't get, which is an increase for widows and widowers. He wants to increase that by 20%.
Wow. Okay, so
the
far,
last show we did, we talked about getting your ex-spouse, if you are a widow or widower from an ex-spouse.
Right.
Imagine getting that. We said you only get that or your own, getting a 20% bump in that. Boom. Sounds great. I'm a widow.
Yeah.
Love it.
Right.
Get me some more Biden. Get, Biden 2028, whatever.
So far, he's really increasing what the people get out of Social Security, which is good. But it's more of a drain on Social Security. And I thought the problem was Social Security wasn't going to be solvent, so we needed to save money.
Right. And this is where the fundamental differences between the Republicans and the Democrats lie, is that the Republicans say there's a problem with Social Security. The Democrats say there's a problem with Social Security. Finally, we're together, right?
Yes. On that,
Republicans say, let's reduce benefits. Democrats say, let's increase benefits. So the Republicans are like, well, we'll just reduce benefits and we're not going to raise taxes. Democrats say, let's increase benefits, but we'll also raise taxes. So that's the fundamental difference. So what Biden wants to do is he wants to lift the cap on taxable earnings. So, Tony, do you have any idea how much money? So we talked about how your salary gets taxed 6.2% roughly, and then the employer matches. At what point does that stop? Does that go away?
It's like 120,000 if you make more than that a year.
It's right now, then that's capped to inflation, so it's 142,800.
Oh, okay.
So if you make 145,000, you paid Social Security taxes on most of all of that, but anything above that, you're not paying Social Security tax on.
Okay. So one way to help pay for this is he's proposing take off that limit.
Right, but he's proposing we take off that limit for anyone over 400,000. So so everyone's going to pay up to 142,000 or somewhere around there. Then from 142 to 400, you don't pay Social Security taxes. There's a gap.
Right.
And then if you make over 400, back again on the Social Security tax, plus the Medicare tax that is an extra.
Yeah. Well, I'm a co-host for a living, so I like that rule.
So by March, you've already paid all your Social Security taxes.
Yeah.
So everything from April on is free money for you.
Yeah, that 400,000 mark. I'm looking around. It doesn't affect me or
Well,
that's
it
anyone I
will
know
affect you. This
actually.
will affect you, Tony, because after March you stop paying taxes, but come June you're going to start paying taxes again because you're going to be over 400,000 for the year. So now you're going to start paying Social Security tax.
Yeah, I'm not.
But when you
So
look at this, when you look at it like this, okay, I'm fiscal conservative. I always have been. That's
sure.
just the way I was raised.
Yep.
And I look at it and say, yeah, I don't like taxes. I don't. My mom worked for the IRS. She was an auditor. I mean, like, how worse can you get,
Oh
right?
wow.
So
Oh,
she's always like, "You pay your taxes." You know, you if I win the lottery, Ma, I won 10,000 on the lottery. Scratch off. That's before taxes. You know, always taxes, right?
right.
So, and my dad was an English teacher, so he would say, "Actually, you said that incorrectly. It's proper way of saying it is after tax." But anyway, so
Yeah.
you, you got these sound effects. You're not even making my flat jokes. You know, you're like, oh. so so after I'm a big proponent of avoiding taxes when it's legally available.
Sure.
So I don't like the idea of raising taxes. However, if you think about it, anyone making over 400,000, that's not a lot of people in this country. So
No.
most people that are on Social Security, and for most people that the Social Security is meaningful to them, they're making less than 400,000 a year. So they
Oh
should
yeah.
theoretically support this. I don't like class
Oh, so
warfare.
you don't like yeah. So you're saying the people who utilize Social Security should be paying for it, and those over 400,000, that 1%, 1 or 2% of the country should not be pitching in more.
Well, no, I just think if you're going to do it, just do it across the board. Everyone's paying 6% no matter how much you make, right? So eliminate this little, loophole. Just all or nothing, you know? I also like the idea of a flat tax, everyone pays the same amount because all these loopholes, they're going to find ways around it. They're going to find ways around it. But anyway, he's talking about raising that cap on the earnings, which is a great way of doing it. Now, Republicans will come back and say, well, we have to reduce benefits. And everything you've said so far, President Biden, is increase, 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 and then tax more. Why not reduce benefits? And so you might see a benefit reduction for a higher earner. You might say, we're not going to allow 125% of poverty level. We'll let 100% of poverty level. So those are the negotiation points. And I think one of the other negotiation points that the Republicans will push for is an increase in the age, because that's basically a reduction of benefits.
Right.
And so people can get behind it. But if you do a combination of all those, that would work. So another change is everyone complains every year. Guess what I got? I got $5 raise in my Social Security. You know, oh, don't
Yeah.
spend it all at once. That's the big
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah, the old cost of living increase,
Mhm.
the COLA, as I like
Right.
to call it, yeah.
So Biden, in his run for presidency, he mentioned that he wanted to change it to the consumer price index for the elderly. Remember we talked about that in the previous show?
Yeah. So he wants to make it actually accurate for the people, a
Shh.
true
No, you can't use those words. That's too logical. Too logical. You don't want things to reflect reality, Tony.
yeah. So
Yeah.
the cost of living adjustment right now, we gotta mention this because this is what gets me, and you've talked about this before, and I always just shake my head. The current cost of living adjustment to Social Security is based on the government's opinion of the inflation rate, and they have their own calculator to calculate inflation. But didn't it? It doesn't include groceries or gas, or I mean, right?
Right,
It
and
doesn't
medical. So it doesn't
or
include the things
medical.
that are impacting disproportionately older people,
Yeah.
even though Social Security is for older people.
So when healthcare goes up 20% or medication goes up 20% a year, as it has, that's not even exaggeration for some people. And they say, you know what? Inflation this year, we're going to give you a 1.5% increase.
Right,
And people are
right.
like, okay, my groceries went up 5% and my healthcare went up 20%. That's 25%. So
Right. And then so the other thing is that people say, well, yeah, I got a 1.5% increase, but Medicare premiums went up by the same amount, so it's a wash,
yeah, they
you know?
always So it's always a wash. You never get more money, right?
You get more, but it's not enough to move the needle. It's
Right.
not meaningful. So this
Right.
idea of getting a 20% increase for widows, that, I mean, a widowers, Biden's like, that makes sense to me. But again, it seems so drastic. I think, and
There's a lot.
tying the inflation. Well, I think I'm going to propose we tie it to college inflation. So there should be a 300% increase every 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You
Well,
tie it to college inflation and you watch the government figure out how to reduce college costs.
right. Then they would reduce college costs. Yeah.
Right,
They
right.
would
Wait
have
a sec.
pro
My Social Security check went from 1,200 a month to 2,500 a month this year because college inflation went up by that much.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if college students were the ones who relied on Social Security, that would actually be part of the debate. You're joking about it, but you know, it's we have to look at what affects seniors, which is healthcare and groceries and medicine. But that is something. I mean, you want to talk? I thought healthcare is crazy. College inflation is outrageous. I mean, it's
I know.
outrageous.
I just wanted to mess with you because I know that's right in front and center on your mind right now.
It is because my daughter Allison wants to go to St. Thomas, which is a private school. And
Ouch.
what I love is she's all excited. They're going to give me a scholarship of $28,000 a year. Right? She gets this thing saying, "We're going to give
Right.
you a scholarship, so we're going to cover 28,000." And I'm like, "It's going to be almost free then, right? Because it's $30,000 a year,
Break
right?"
out the trumpet noise, Tony. Break it out.
Oh no, it's $63,000 a year.
Wah, wah, wah,
Some of
wah.
them are $65,000 a year, but then you get a 25,000. Why don't they just say what the price is? It's the old bait and switch. It's like they don't ever tell you they say we're going to give you $28,000 toward tuition, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's great." Anyway, that's
Right, right.
that's another
We can
show.
go. That's another show. That's another show. But
Sorry.
it's very
Yeah.
similar to the dear sirs. All you have, I have $1 million for you. You only need to send me 3,000 to cash the check, and then I'll send you 1 million. It's like
Whoops.
right.
Not
So
good.
let's talk. So how are they going to pay for this? How are we going to pay for it? We talked about it. Biden raising the taxes. I think he's going to have to do that. I think he's going to have to raise it on over 400. It's doable.
Oh yeah.
I think they're going to also have to change the retirement age, the full retirement age. They're probably not going to be able to get all the increases for the widows, widowers, and but something's going to be done, and I think it's going to happen very soon. I think it might
I
even
think so.
happen this year. And the
Oh, I think
reason
so,
why
for sure.
I think it's going to happen this year is because, and I don't like this. I don't like this because they did this for a lot of things in this country. Because of COVID, we need to do something like this. And remember when they passed that COVID relief bill, that last one, they threw a whole bunch of nonsense in there with it,
Yep, they
right?
did. Crazy stuff.
So they're going to say COVID is causing Social Security collapse. So under COVID and under not going through the normal process of getting 60 votes, because that's the tough part, getting 60 votes.
Yeah.
You might have a majority
Supermajority. You have
with
to
you might have a tie with the Harris making the decision on the tiebreaker, but 60 is not an easy feat. But
no.
if it's a COVID relief, emergency thing,
They don't wanna
and
vote against anything like that because
it's gonna right, how can you vote against COVID? You like to kill people,
yeah.
and then next thing you know, anyone that lives that is a DJ, or a co-host for a radio show is going to get an extra 5,000 a month. And how did that get by? Well, Tony happens to be friend with Biden. He's, like
He
I
calls
just
me
don't.
from time
I
to
want them to go through the proper channels. I think that's the only way to make sustainable change. Reagan was able to do it, and
yeah.
it worked. It kicked the can in the '80s to today. I mean, we got a good ride at the last time they made meaningful change to Social Security.
Yeah.
So
True. True.
I think that we will have some change to Social Security, at least some talk of it, because I mean, there's so much to do. Biden has so much he wants to do, but I think that this is one that people will see as an emergency because once the numbers come out and they see the wages have gone down and how much Social Security got crushed, I think that people will get behind it.
Yeah. I would agree, and the reason you said it's a bipartisan issue, and they can all agree, "Hey, we need to," because Social Security is the third rail, nobody wants to touch it, right? They call it the third rail of politics, because nobody wants to touch it. It's electrified, and your political career was done if you mess with Social Security. And that's always been what's kept it alive. And that's why in the history of Social Security, I read a stat, Dan, they have made over 100 times since its inception in 1935, they've made changes to Social Security. And so they keep making more changes to keep it solvent. And I think they'll do that. But this is the first time in a while we've heard, hey, we're going to make changes. We're going to increase the benefits, which is the opposite of what's happened before. Usually they raise that your full retirement age. They raise that and raise that. So you can't get as much until you're older. And that saves money in Social Security. But this year, I think because of COVID, they're like, well, we've got to help people out. And I think that's mentality is going to help maybe get some of that through. But they're also at the same time, like you say, they're either going to have to raise taxes or, try to make the 1%, the people who have money pay, use some of their money for Social Security, penalize them more, as you said. So it is interesting. We'll have to see what happens. But I think that Biden, like any negotiation, if you want to get $50 for an item you sell on eBay, if you're taking offers and somebody makes you an offer and you've got it listed at 100, but it's overpriced and you'd take 60, somebody says, will you take 40? And you say, no, I need 70. And they come back, how about 60? Then you get what you want. And that's what you wanted all along. So I think it's the same with Biden. He's shooting for the moon, but he knows he's going to get a compromised bill out of it probably. And I think he's shooting for the moon so he can still get as much as he wants, right?
And I think if he's able to do that, if he's able to get these ridiculously childish Congress people to talk to one another,
good luck.
He will be remembered for that. I think that could be his legacy. If he could fix Social Security, it would be a lifetime legacy for him. All the other nonsense that people have against him, and all the other things that he's done that has just been terrible in his career.
Yeah.
It'll be wiped away by him. Yeah. He's the guy that fixed Social Security.
Yeah.
Everyone's had a chance and no one's done it. I think COVID may be the catalyst to give the current president, whoever it was. I think COVID's giving them the chance to actually make meaningful change to Social Security. I'm all for it because I love Social Security. I think it's hugely important. The more people I meet that are entering retirement, the more I see that it's a key part of retirement. I do it for every client, whether the analysis, the maximization, it's part of my just relationship. It's a default position of mine to let's start on Social Security. That's my baseline. So I'm all for improving it because you're going to be helping people in retirement. That it's going to help people. I know it helps people. So I'm all for it. Even if that means that taxes go up, which I don't typically like, I'm okay with it because it's really critical that this gets done. And I will support President Biden if he's able to pull this off. I would love it.
Well, that's saying something. You're very conservative. So this is a bipartisan issue. So it's not like you're pro Biden or pro Republican, pro Democrat, pro Republican. It doesn't matter right or left. Social Security is important. It's a huge safety net for Americans. And with the pension having gone away, like you always say, it's so important. It's the basis of retirement income for so many people. And I mean, obviously, a lot of people think, well, I make good money and I've got a few million saved up. I'm not worried about Social Security. But I mean, it's money you've paid in. Most Americans have paid into Social Security, and most deserve it. And a lot of people really need it. So I think it's huge. I think that it's not about partisan politics. And that's the one nice thing about the issue is, everybody wants it to work. And
because we're all sinking together. We're all sinking, right? So
exactly. So it's got to work and they've got to figure it out. Now, would they cut government spending to help?
Again, too logical, Tony. You can't be logical. You have to just take your we can always print more money. So what will happen? Yeah, you're going to get your check will be $5,000 a month from Social Security, but the loaf of bread will cost $2,000. So you'll be like, all right, it's so I'm going to end it on a positive note, Tony, and say
Oh,
I'm
good.
excited about this. I think there's going to be some changes. I'm happy for that. I support changes. I also support people that are scared going into retirement, don't know what to do with Social Security. There's a lot of people that are just writing it off. People typically under 50 years old are saying, well, I'm just not counting on it, which is good. It's good to not count on something, but don't feel like you shouldn't count on it if you're getting close to retirement. This is a big part of it. So just reach out and go to dolphinfinancialgroup.com. I have Social Security maximization software. It's available to all. The link above. So yeah, I will help people with Social Security till it's gone. Or even if it gets improved, I will update my software and help people more. So I'm
Right.
excited about it. 2 shows in a row, Tony, on Social Security. What is this world coming to? I'm surprised you're gonna. I mean, you may not even show up next time. I might have to get Jonah back on to talk about Bitcoin or
Oh,
something again.
no, he's with the bow tie? No, we can't. Um, no, but Dan, a great show. And by the way, computer troubles aside, that 1990s camera you use, your complexion still looks great.
Oh, on that note, I'm cutting
Your
you off.
complexion
Have
still
a
looks
good day,
awesome.
everybody. Have a good day.